And so in doing so, you're testing small, you're gonna win big. Now by the time you get from, let me put it this way. It may seem right now that like, wow, okay, I can't imagine going from 256 to 512 or 512 to $1 million overnight. And guess what? It's because you are not who you need to be able to achieve these results right now. But if you do this, what's gonna happen is you're gonna go from 1 to 2 and you're gonna be like, all right, that was no problem. You are probably ready for that. And if you're not, there's some other things you need to do as far as investing in yourself and your skills and your knowledge. Going from 2 to 4, easy. 4 to 8, 8 to 16, 16 to 32. You may not be even there yet, but as you go through this process, you are gonna go through this growth and you're gonna be ready. And by the time you get from 8 to 9, or year 8 to 9, where it's going 256 to 512 and 512 to $1 million, those are probably gonna seem like conservative numbers because you will have built the skills, the knowledge, the infrastructure, the systems, the networks, everything you need to be able to build this out and be successful. This is how entrepreneurs go out and scale and become wealthy really fast. Hey, what's going on, cash flow hackers? It's Chris with Life 180, and for this video, we're gonna be talking about how to exponentially grow your money. One of my favorite quotes of all time is people way overestimate what they can do in a year and they underestimate what they can accomplish in a decade. And so what I want to do in this video is talk about some of the principles and how you can actually go about compounding your money, how you can set your expectations in alignment with reality. We're going to talk about taking some big risks to get there, how to ultimately become a millionaire in the next decade, starting with very little, taking on some risk, but how you can actually implement a plan to accomplish success in this area. Because I think a lot of times people just are kind of like looking at their environment, they're looking at what their financial strategy is, and most people are kind of on this mindset that they think they have to wait 15, 20, 30, 40 years to be able to reach any kind of level of financial success. And the reality is nothing could be further from the truth. I'm going to show you a very basic example of what this looks like. And I want to warn you ahead of time. I got this thing on the back board here. This is a very extreme example that I'm trying to teach a principle about, starting with very, very little money, right? So I'm going to talk about this. And once I get done with this example, I just want you to understand as I'm going through this, don't look at it from the perspective of like, that's crazy. There's no way that this can be done. A, yes, it can be done. B, even if you can't do this, even if it's not realistic to double your money every year, which I know for a lot of people, that's not a realistic expectation, depending on what your skill sets are and your networking, connections, and ability to go out and take risk and do it. But here's the deal. I want to show you this principle and show you how actively you can actually do this successfully if you know the strategies to follow and you have your financial structure set up properly. You're going to see what I'm talking about. So let's just get into this really quickly. So what I want to do here is you can look here, and what I have here is you can see we start, whoa, that's a big outline. We start with $1,000. And so when we start with $1,000, you can see year one, at the end of year one, if you double your money, you have $2,000. At the end of year two, 2,000 turns into 4,000, turns into 8,000, turns into 16. By the end of year 10, you have $1,024,000 if you've doubled your money every single year. Now, here's the deal with this scenario. When you're talking about doubling your money every year in this situation, what do we do here? There are different ways that you can go about having your money double, right? So you can get involved in real estate, you can get involved in businesses, you could do cryptocurrency, you could do, I would say, day trading. You know, like the bottom line is you're never going to get anywhere in life without taking some risk. You're not going to be able to achieve these kinds of results and this kind of growth without taking on risk. It's a big reason that I'm a big believer that you should never invest in anything that you don't understand. So when I go through, and I've done other videos, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but one of the biggest reasons that I tell people is you need to save, and you need to save with the intent of investing. I think I did a video last week or the week before that was talking about the fact that when you need to save, and you need to put yourself and build your emergency fund and build your opportunity fund. And the first investment that you need to make has nothing to do with real estate, nothing to do with crypto or business or day trading or anything of that. It has to do with you. It has to do with investing in yourself and investing in your own skill sets, your own network, to be able to put yourself in a position so you can actually become a better asset. So when you do invest this money, the risk goes down, the rate of success goes up. It puts you in more control of results of the results that you're going after in life. And that's what's going to help you get there. Now think about it. We're talking about real estate. A lot of people are going to go, well, if you gave me $1,000, not much I can do with $1,000 to double my money. I'm not going to be able to get into real estate. I'm not going to be able to do a lot of these things. So full transparency, when we look at this, I want to say, $1,000, I'm showing you this because the facts are $1,000, anybody can do that. Anybody can start there. Anybody can start a process. And while we all want to hit this beautiful thing called passive income, right? We call it cash flow, passive cash flow, right? I'm just going to write, or CF for cash flow. That's ultimately what we want to do. We want to get this money working for us passively. But the first stage of wealth creation has got to be active income. You have to invest in yourself to build a skill set, to build your knowledge, so you can go out and actively play a role in doubling this money. And so what does that look like? Maybe at the beginning of this, you're not going to be able to go out and turn this $1,000 passively into $2,000. This is where if you invest in yourself and maybe you become a good day trader and you learn that skill and you're actively involved in that trading process and you actually build a skill. Now, I know a lot of people that have lost a lot of money day trading because they get into it and they haven't really taken the time to invest in themselves developing that skill. If you start to try to go too fast with this, you're probably going to fail. I use another phrase a lot. It's you got to slow down to be able to go fast. And this is what I'm talking about. Sometimes we want to get these fast results. We want to get to this place where we go from 1,000 to 4,000 or 1,000 to 2,000. We just want to start getting those results. But the bottom line is we have to be willing to go slow to be able to go fast. And by going slow, what I'm talking about is investing in yourself, building those skill sets, building building the foundation under your life to put yourself in a position where you're going to succeed. And so when I look at this is what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about things like this. I'm thinking about when I'm starting with 1,000, there's different states of it, right? So let's just say day trading is one of them, right? Like Gary Vee is another one. Garage sailing, right? Sorry for the handwriting, but garage sailing is another one. You could go out, flip couches, flip furniture. We'll say couches, furniture. You could flip different items that you're able to, kind of have positive arbitrage in when it comes to, selling them on eBay or, going down and what's the offer up or stuff of that nature. There's all these different ways that you can actively go out, garage sale, buy $1,000 worth of stuff, flip it in, turn it into 2,000, play an active role. But you have to look at this as if this is its own fund. You can't utilize it for anything else. The goal is to take this 1,000 and turn it into 1,000,000. And I know this may sound like super far-fetched, but when we think about this, this is what I call, and I should have wrote this, is an opportunity fund. A lot of people ask me, what are you talking about, Chris, when you're doing all this? When I talk about one of the foundational components that I talk about is we need to save. We need to save with the intent of investing, but when we save, we need to save for emergency and opportunity. I think most people will acknowledge that we need an emergency fund in case something tragic happens in our life, in case we lose a job, and we want to make sure our bills and all that stuff are covered during times of emergency, a rainy day fund, if you will. So we know that, but most people don't realize that an opportunity fund is actually going to be what you utilize to create wealth. And so when you look at it, the opportunity fund from this perspective, this money is only to be utilized for opportunity. And what I want to say to this is that this is a really conservative perspective. Now, it's obviously not conservative to say that, hey, we're going to double our money every year. What I will say is there's different phases of this. It is not going to be hard for you to take 1,000 and double it to 2,000 because it's your active income. But the beautiful part about this is because you need to become who you need to be to get the results that you want to achieve, right? So the beautiful part with this is that you can start low. You can start in this situation. If you could just save up $5,000, invest a little bit in yourself and skills and masterminds and events. Take $1,000 of that money and start trying to grow that money and grow it and grow it and grow it. And obviously starting with $1,000, most people can afford to save a little bit more than $1,000. But the other good part about this is that to go from 1 to 2,000 with active income is not a big leap. It's going to be easy for everybody to do. So if that was your only goal, you should be able to do this with no problem, with you just being actively engaged with the process of creating the wealth in that instance, right? So if you're doing that, you honestly should be able to go from year 1, which is 1,000, to year 2. You should be able to 4 times your money in year 1. So you could actually skip right over year 1 and compress this time frame if you are actively involved in really pushing that through. I could even say that you could turn it into 8,000 pretty easily. And so from that perspective, this expectation of doubling the money every year is conservative. Now, what's going to happen is during this time frame, when you're being active in the growth of your money, what's going to happen is you're developing your skills, right? I'm a big believer in marketing. We got to test small and win big. So we're testing small. You're developing your skills. You're hardening yourself. You're getting to a place where you're really honing in these skill sets where you're going to be able to create a more predictable result for whatever it is for you. I don't care if it is day trading or garage sailing or whatever. You don't know what you don't know. And then as you get in this and you start building these skills out and building your knowledge out, building your network out, doing all these different things, what's going to happen is you're just evolving yourself as a product. You're evolving yourself as an asset that can go out and create these opportunities, that can go out and create this wealth. And so in doing so, you're testing small, you're going to win big. Now, by the time you get from let me put it this way. It may seem right now that like, wow, okay, I can't imagine going from 256 to 512 or 512 to $1 million overnight. And guess what? It's because you are not who you need to be able to achieve these results right now. But if you do this, what's going to happen is you're going to go from 1 to 2 and you're going to be like, all right, that was no problem. You are probably ready for that. And if you're not, there's some other things you need to do as far as investing in yourself and your skills and your knowledge. Going from 2 to 4, easy. 4 to 8, 8 to 16, 16 to 32. You may not be even there yet, but as you go through this process, you are going to go through this growth and you're going to be ready. And by the time you get from 8 to 9, or year 8 to 9, where it's going 256 to 512 and 512 to $1 million, those are probably going to seem like conservative numbers because you will have built the skills, the knowledge, the infrastructure, the systems, the networks, everything you need to be able to build this out and be successful. This is how entrepreneurs go out and scale and become wealthy really fast. There's no reason, zero reason, anybody should be on the hamster wheel working for 40 years, thinking that they got to live somebody else's dream, thinking they got to live somebody else's plan, giving up control of their money, putting it in qualified accounts, thinking they have to get till they're 59 and a half before being able to access that money without paying taxes and penalty and all these things, when the reality is you can put your money into your own system, implement, have control of the results in your life, live a much bigger life, contribute more, become more, give more, and accomplish more ultimately at the end of the day, so you can, pass it on to the next generation and create more, right? So now here's what I want to talk about before I end this. The market is cyclical. It's not linear. It's not going to be, this nice, like compounded growth curve, right? Like if we look at the market like this, it doesn't just go up like this. It goes up and it comes down. It goes up and it comes down. It goes up and it comes down. It goes up and it comes down, right? If you look at things, yes, we're on this track where things are going up, but the bottom line is, if you look at this, what the reality of this is, these are the opportunities these are the times, I should say, on these cycles where there's more and more opportunities. Now, if you are doing what I'm talking about and you're going through year in, year out right here, and you're following this process, you don't know where in the cycle the opportunities are going to present themselves the best, right? You don't know when these opportunities are going to happen. And so when these opportunities do happen, think dot-com bubble in 2000, think 2008, think COVID, think all these different opportunities. We don't know what the next one's going to be. The recession bubble, the inflationary recession that we're coming into, that a lot of people think is going to become even worse. That's going to create opportunity for those who are actually prepared to take advantage of it. That is the purpose of an opportunity fund. So the bottom line is you may not be ready yet, but as you go through, you build your skill sets, you build your knowledge, you build your networks. We don't know what asset that's going to be, right? We don't know. Like, we know the last decade, real estate was an amazing thing, right? Real estate was a phenomenal tool over the past decade, but the reality is right now, real estate's not necessarily the best investment. It's a great long-term investment. It's not a great investment to double your money right now, right? Like, so we know that. And so, okay, we know that if we want to build long-term passive income, real estate's always going to be an amazing asset, right? Business, there's going to be lots of opportunities. There's always going to be business opportunities if you know how to identify them. Crypto, it's another one. I'm personally kind of on the sidelines right now, waiting and seeing how that plays out. A lot of people would disagree with me. That is what it is. Day trading, I've never been much of a day trader myself. I know a lot of people that make a lot of money doing that. I think right now, getting thrifty, you know, doing the garage sale thing, doing the flipping of different couches. This is just something that I like. If I think back to my 20s, that's a skill that I never really did. Actually, when I was back in my 20s, we didn't have the technology to be able to do it the way that we do now. And so it would have been a little more inconvenient, but there's everybody can go out and do this. There's absolutely zero reason. You can start, I'm showing this as 1,000 that you're starting with. You could start with zero and you could, well, not zero, maybe $40, $50 where you go to a garage sale, you buy items and then you flip them for double, and you could actively build a side income that does this, and you could literally be a millionaire in the next decade very predictably, where you are in control of all your own results. And honestly, if you're not, it's totally on you. So I hope that helps. I hope it makes sense. You know, I try to take this and make it simple and be able to have you see the numbers. The key to this all is the opportunity fund. Now, if you want to learn where the best place to save your money for an opportunity fund, I've done a lot of videos on this. You can create your own private banking system. We talk about this all the time. I've done a lot of videos on this. So if you haven't seen them, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, that way you're notified, because I'm going to continue to do more videos on them. But also go check out, at the end of this video, I'm going to put a link to a playlist that will educate you on the best place to create your own privatized banking system, which is where you're going to want to save your money inside of your own opportunity fund. So that's it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. And I do my best. My wife always says I'm better at responding to my YouTube comments than I am my text messages. So it's something I take a lot of pride in. I want to be able to serve this community and help you guys out. So that's it for now. Have a blessed, inspirational day, and we'll see you on the next video. Take care.